also understand that joy and learning that I see in them should be true for every child. And there's no reason why any American child on their first day. Well, the system's broken, and I think that people all across the country recognize that. And certainly I don't accept the idea that in the richest country on earth we should have 47 million people without health insurance and a million more people who are being bankrupt because of medical care. And I know something about this personally. My mother died of ovarian cancer when she was 53. And in the early months of her life, she was not spending all her time thinking about how to get well or even how to come to terms with her own mortality. She was spending time thinking about whether or not the insurance company was going to cover her expenses because she had gotten sick right before taking a new job and it wasn't clear whether this was going to be considered a pre-existing condition. And that's wrong. There's something fundamentally wrong.
In the United States Senate, when you first come to serve there, you're given a little pink card. And on that pink card are two things. One is you're requested to give your signature, which is your paycheck, and the other is to check off, if you want, the federal health insurance program. And you know something? Every single member, except one, Charlie Brown, who I admire and respect, says that he won't take health insurance, but everyone is going to be. I admire.
After John Kennedy's assassination in 1963, Bobby's wilderness years began. He became convinced that America should withdraw from Vietnam. In his presidential bid, removing troops from Vietnam became a priority. He spelled it out in his final interview, given minutes before he was shot.
Had more Americans killed there in the last several weeks than any time during the war. And we're now, 6 months ago, we were talking about bombing Hanoi, and we were concerned about that because we're going to kill civilians. And now we're killing large numbers of them as we bomb Saigon. I just think that we just have to change our policy. And I would hope that the Democrat Party would recognize that.
So, thanks to all of you, and now it's on to Chicago, and let's win there.
After John Kennedy's assassination.
So, my thanks to all of you, and now it's on to win there.
Now we're killing large numbers of them as we bomb Saigon. I just think we just have to our policy, and I would hope that the Democratic Party would recognize that.
So, my thanks to all of you, and now it's Chicago, and let's win there.
Could you lower those signs, please? I have very sad news for all of you, and that is that Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis.
Martin Luther King dedicated his life to love and to justice between fellow human beings. He died in the cause of that effort. In this difficult day, in this difficult time for the United States, it's perhaps well to ask what kind of a nation we are and what direction we want to move in. For those of you who are black, considering the evidence evidently is that there were white people who were responsible, you can be filled with bitterness and with hatred and a desire for revenge. We can move in that direction as a country, in greater polarization, black people amongst blacks and white amongst whites, filled with hatred toward one another. As Martin Luther King did, to understand and to comprehend and replace
that violence, that stain of bloodshed that is spread across our land, with an effort to understand compassion and love. Those of you who are black, tempted to be filled with hatred and mistrust of the injustice of such an act against all white people, would only say that I can also feel in my own heart the same kind of feeling. I had a member of my family killed. He was killed by a white man. But we have to make an effort in the United States. We have to make an effort to understand, to beyond the difficult times. My favorite poem, my favorite poet was Aeschylus. Once wrote, even in our sleep, forget, falls drop right upon the heart, until in our own despair, against our will, comes wisdom that will break our heart. What we need in the United States is not division. What we need in the United States is not hatred. What we need in the United States is not violence and lust, but is love and wisdom and toward another, feeling of justice toward those who still suffer within our country, whether they be white or whether they be black.
We're going to counter Mr. Humphreys and his background as far as the battle. This is Dave Southern Boy. Somebody just... Everybody has been shot in the head. And right here is the Johnson Ferguson man. So terribly has fired the shot. He still has the gun. The gun is pointed at me right at this moment. I hope they let the gun out of his hand. This is be wonderful. Get the gun. Get the gun. Stay away from it. Stay away from the gun. His hand is frozen. Get off. Get his thumb. Get his thumb. Get his thumb and push the hat. Get his thumb. Okay, now hold on to the guy. Hold on to him. Hold on to him, ladies and gentlemen. And this stuff. This stuff that I can't see. I can't see the man. I can't see him.